Have you ever felt like your mind has a light switch that's just stuck in the on position? You know, the one that lights up every little detail, every awkward pause, every unspoken feeling in a room? Well, if that sounds familiar, you already know that this kind of awareness can feel like a superpower one minute and a really heavy burden the next. Today, we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind that exact feeling.
I mean, this is just the perfect way to put it, isn't it? It's not some gentle, guiding flashlight, nope. It's more like one of those harsh, fluorescent ceiling lights in an office that shows everything. The good, the bad, and all the little cracks just beneath the surface. It's a kind of wakefulness that just never really learns how to rest.
So, in this explainer, we're going to walk through the whole landscape of being too aware. We'll get into why it even happens in the first place, and, probably most important, how you can actually live with it without feeling completely drained. You know, if conversations like this one really resonate with you, make sure you're subscribed to Simply Psych. That way we can keep exploring the wild world of the human mind together.
All right, so let's start by just getting into what this experience actually feels like from the inside out.
For someone who's hyper-aware, life isn't just something you live, it's something you're constantly analyzing. You're probably the first person to sense that unspoken tension before anyone's even said a word. You can literally feel when the energy in a room shifts. You catch that tiny hesitation in a friend's voice. Your mind is just always scanning, reading, and interpreting.
And this is so important to understand. This is not a choice. It isn't some desire to overthink everything or create drama. It feels totally automatic, almost like an instinct, right? It's like your nervous system learned, somewhere way back, that it needed to stay on high alert, and it just never got the memo on how to power down. This constant scanning leads to this really fascinating phenomenon. It's almost like you're living your life with a second screen always open in your mind. This slide just breaks down that internal split perfectly. See, on one side, you've got the part of you that's actually participating in life. You're laughing, you're talking, you're connecting. But on the other side, that second screen is humming along, constantly observing, calculating, and analyzing. You end up trading that pure, simple presence for a sense of precision and deep understanding.
This metaphor just nails it. It so perfectly captures the experience. You can get incredibly good at navigating social situations, at saying just the right thing, at perfecting all the steps of the dance. But because you're always watching yourself, you're always at risk of losing the pure, spontaneous joy of the music itself. And there's actually a psychological term for this.
Yeah, it's called metacognition. And while it can be a really powerful tool for self-improvement, for the hyper-aware person, it just becomes this constant internal narration. You don't just feel an emotion, you immediately start to analyze it, question it, maybe even judge it. Your mind becomes both the dancer and the critic, all at the exact same time.
Now, this intense internal analysis, it doesn't just stop with your own thoughts. Oh no, it often extends way deep into the emotional worlds of other people.
People who are hyper-aware often have this incredibly developed sense of cognitive empathy. They can read between the lines, they understand what someone is feeling long before it's ever spoken out loud. But for them, it often goes beyond just understanding. It kind of becomes a form of absorption.
And the consequence of that is, you end up carrying around feelings that were never yours to begin with. You know, a friend's unspoken sadness follows you all the way home. A tense meeting at work leaves your own body feeling tight and stressed. You become the one who absorbs everything, translates it, and tries to smooth over the emotional climate, and it's often at your own expense.
So where does all this intense awareness even come from? Well, this next section is often a real revelation for people. It reframes this whole trait not as some kind of flaw, but as a skill.
A lot of times, it starts in the body. There's this thing called interoception, which is basically your ability to feel your internal state. Your heartbeat, your breath, that knot in your stomach. In hyper-aware people, this internal sensor is just turned way up. Every little flutter, every tightness feels like really important data, like a signal that something is wrong, which can quietly start to tip over into anxiety.
And this sensitivity often has a history. It frequently starts as an adaptation in a childhood environment where things felt unpredictable. As a kid, you might have learned that your safety really depended on your ability to read the room, to notice a tiny shift in tone, to anticipate someone's mood. Your nervous system learned to be vigilant, and over time, that survival skill just became a fundamental part of who you are.
This is probably the most important thing to remember. If this is you, your sensitivity is not a sign of weakness. It is the residue of intelligence that was shaped by a need to survive. It's a brilliant adaptation that has simply outlived its original purpose. And understanding that,
That's the real first step toward having some compassion for yourself.
Okay, so if this is a deeply ingrained skill, how in the world do you manage it? The solution isn't to try and shut it off. That's not going to work. It's about changing your relationship with it. So let's explore how to do that.
The goal here is to shift your awareness from feeling like a heavy burden to feeling more like a companion. We want to move it from that harsh spotlight that demands control and just leads to exhaustion to more of a gentle warmth that offers clarity and actually allows for true presence. And this shift happens when you start pairing your awareness with boundaries. Here are a few quiet truths that can really help recalibrate your system. Learning to let go of the idea that every single observation requires a response from you is liberating. Sometimes people are just quiet. It doesn't mean anything. Sometimes an emotion can just pass right through you without you having to fix it. And sometimes an insight is just for you. It doesn't need to be shared or acted on. So ultimately, the goal is not to dim that light. Your ability to see things so deeply is a gift, truly. The real work is in learning what's called selective perception, the ability to notice something without absorbing it, to recognize it without having to react, and to let things pass through your awareness without getting stuck there.
So I really want to leave you with this question to reflect on. Your system learned to be on high alert for a very, very good reason. The healing journey is all about gently and very patiently teaching that vigilant part of you that it's safe now, that it's finally allowed to rest. If any of this felt even a little bit familiar today, I just want you to know that you are so far from being alone. This whole experience of being hyper-aware is a really common one, and it's born from adaptation and sensitivity. The path forward isn't about becoming less aware, but about learning to carry that awareness with a bit more gentleness and a whole lot more wisdom.
This is exactly the kind of journey we explore here at Simply Psyche. So if you found some value in this explainer today, please subscribe so we can keep these conversations going. And if this really spoke to you, share your experience down in the comments. Seriously, your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to feel understood. Thank you so much for taking the time to explore all this with me today.